advisor said Ms Rayner was in breach of the ministerial code despite having acted with integrity. In a handwritten letter, Sir Keir Starmer told Angela Rayner he was very sad her time in government had come to an end and he had nothing but admiration for her. Nigel Farage says there's every chance of a general election in 2027, declaring he will run on a promise to stop the boats within 2 weeks of entering Downing Street. Speaking at the party's annual conference, Mr Farage says Angela Rayner's resignation and the chaos in the Labour government makes it likely his party will have to fight an election 2 years early. Now, his second speech of the day was interrupted by protesters who were swiftly escorted from the building, one of whom accused Reform of being fascists and racists. The party leader says Labour are in crisis and they're not fit to govern.
From being the Housing Secretary and avoiding £40,000 of council tax. And it screams to entitlement. It screams to a government that, despite all the promises that this would be a new, different kind of politics, is as bad, if not worse, than the one that went before.
Authorities in Portugal say 3 British nationals are among 16 people who died in a funicular railway crash in Lisbon on Wednesday. The victims, who haven't been named, were a 36-year-old woman and 2 men aged 82 and 44. More than 20 other people were injured, with 5 in a critical condition. Investigators have completed a preliminary probe into the crash and expect to release the findings imminently. And the Duchess of Kent has died at the age of 92. She presented the winners' trophies at Wimbledon for more than 3 decades and famously consoled a sobbing Jana Novotná after her defeat to Steffi Graf back in 1993. Later, Catherine stepped back from public life and worked incognito as a music teacher in state primary schools. Buckingham Palace says the royal family will remember her passion for music and empathy for the young people. Those are your latest headlines. I'll be back with more at 7.
Hello, welcome to Dewbs & Co. with me, Dawn Neeson tonight. Joining me until 7, my brilliant panel, Matt Goodwin, pollster and academic, and of course, GBNews presenter James Schneider, formerly advisor to Jeremy Corbyn. OK, now, your views are important to this show, as Michelle says, every single day, so get them coming in, gbnews.com/your say. We have got an amazing show for you after an amazing day. It has been non-stop, so we want your views as well. Get them coming in straight away. OK, now that we've had a major reshuffle of the cabinet, Angela Rayner has resigned as Deputy Prime Minister and left the government completely. And we've also got, obviously, the Reform conference going on up in Birmingham. It is non-stop. Luckily for us, our political editor, Christopher Hope, can fill us in on all the gory details. Christopher, what's the latest?
OK, Dawn, welcome back to Downing Street. The cabinet reshuffle is complete. Moments ago, Yvette Cooper arrived here. She's the new Foreign Secretary. What we do in this game, we shout questions. It might seem rude to viewers and listeners, but that's all the chance we get to question these people. Yvette Cooper, someone shouted, "Did you fail on small boats?" to Yvette Cooper. She replied, "Evening," which is an understatement, with a heart, with a semi-smile, I think, at the directness of the question. But she has now gone from the Home Office to be the Foreign Secretary. Some would say that is a demotion, despite the fact that the Foreign Secretary is a more senior role, representing the UK on a global stage, and is rather a glamorous role too, compared to the Home Office. But let's recap on today very briefly for viewers and listeners. It started, didn't it, with the resignation of an investment minister, Poppy Gustafsson, and that signalled, I think, the wider reshuffle, which still is not completed. Then at midday, Angela Rayner quit after being found to have breached the ministerial code by Sir Laurie Magnus, who is the ministerial ethics advisor, and that triggered a huge change in government. The big jobs. David Lammy, the former Foreign Secretary, he's now the Lord Chancellor and the Secretary of State for Justice. He's also the Deputy Prime Minister. This means a big boost in his profile and authority in Whitehall. Whenever the Prime Minister isn't there, David Lammy will step in and run Prime Minister's questions. Darren Jones, he replaces Pat McFadden as a Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. He'll also remain this new role, Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. He is the enforcer of Whitehall, the guy who's going to deliver on the priorities of the Prime Minister. Yvette Cooper, as I say, is a Foreign Secretary. Shabana Mahmood moves from Justice, where she's in charge of prisons, to the Home Office, a much more difficult job trying to tackle the small boats crisis. Looking at my shoulder, checking no one else is arriving. Steve Reed, he was a former Environment Secretary, known to our viewers as the person who pushed through those changes to farmers' inheritance tax, deeply unpopular in the rural community. He is now going to be the Housing Secretary to try and get through those housing reforms currently stuck in the House of Lords and get these new homes built, 1.5 million planned over 5 years. Pat McFadden, he's gone from Cabinet Office to the Work and Pensions Department with a bit of skills attached. That is a good appointment, I think, by this government. Pat McFadden, of course, a veteran of the Tony Blair's government. He knows how Whitehall is wired. Just looking over my shoulder now. Shabana Mahmood, how will you stop the boats? Can you stop the boats? Will you fail too? That's Shabana Mahmood. She's the new Home Secretary. I'm shouting now at her, will you fail over stopping the boats in the same way that Yvette Cooper failed? Other appointments too. Peter Kyle, he was the Science Secretary, now the Business Secretary. He replaces Jonathan Reynolds there, who was widely reported or regarded as doing well in that role. Liz Kendall, she is now the Science Secretary. Of course, she was Work and Pensions. Emma Reynolds, a former Treasury Minister, a veteran of Tony Blair's government, she is now in the Environment Department. Douglas Alexander from Trade Department, he has now gone to the Scottish office, replacing Ian Murray, who resigned and we think may have been sacked. Jonathan Reynolds, as I say, is the Chief Whip. He's now in charge of getting the government's programme pushed through Parliament. It had a big wobble with those reforms to benefits, which failed to get through in the summer. And just finally there, Sir Alan Campbell, the former Chief Whip, he is now leader of the House of Commons and will attend Cabinet, as I say there. Angela Rayner, Lucy Powell, Ian Murray have all left the government. The other jobs remain in place. Heidi Alexander still remains as Transport Secretary after the meeting with the Prime Minister earlier today. And Ed Miliband, yes, him again, widely criticised on the right as being someone who's pushed this net zero agenda. He stays where he is. He's deeply popular amongst members, despite his unpopularness, frankly. He's a divisive figure. He's unpopular on the right, but they like him on the left. It's all happened and it hasn't finished yet. The Cabinet the reshuffle has finished, but we don't know yet about the appointments of junior ministers. I'm looking at my notes here. As far as I understand it, there will be no more appointments tonight. So it's a full lid, as I say in America. The Cabinet reshuffle is complete, no more appointments. I'm guessing it starts again tomorrow. I'm guessing I'll be here for GB News.
Who knows what's going to happen, Christopher? Thank you very much. A sterling job put in there. OK, let's have a listen to what Kemi Badenoch had to say about the thing that started all this, and that is Angela Rayner's resignation.
It says everything about Keir Starmer's weak leadership, that he had to wait for a report before acting. The truth is simple. She dodged tax. She lied about it. Her position was untenable for days. Keir Starmer once promised honesty and integrity in politics, but when faced with this test, he hesitated. He has now lost a Deputy Prime Minister after losing a Transport Secretary, an Anti-Corruption Minister and a Homelessness Minister to scandal. His government is in crisis.
That's 5 ministers in total, isn't it? I mean, basically, it sounds like all the kamikaze pilots that are involved in this government have just been given new planes to fly. James, what do you make of it today? I mean, Angela Rayner, did she have to go? Should she have gone earlier?
I think she had to resign because she was found by the government's ethics advisor to have done the wrong thing, and I think in that circumstance you should resign. I think there are other things she should also look at her record over, which aren't to do with her personal affairs. I think if you're the Housing Secretary and you agree a deal with the Treasury where the rents of social tenants are going to rise above inflation every year for a decade in a cost of living crisis, that's actually the thing that you should resign over as Housing Secretary. But yes, it's precipitated this reshuffle. And while it's a lot of fun for Chopper and the others, they're yelling very important, dignified questions to the ministers going in. Reshuffles are generally moving around deck chairs.
It's on the Titanic. Well, to come up with a different analogy.
Maybe it's a ship that's set for fairer sail, although not for this government. I wouldn't have thought. But basically, Westminster pays a lot of attention to these things, and they, generally speaking, don't mean there's going to be a change in direction. If you look at the three big names who are there, Lammy, Cooper and Shabana Mahmood, they were already significant figures in the government, and it looks like that's more, you know, it's moving more in the same direction.
I'm not sure you've cheered me up on a Friday night by mentioning those three.
I'll cheer you up in other ways, but probably not discussing the fate of
Sounds
the
like
country.
I'm on a promise, doesn't it? OK, Matt, what do you make of this?
Well, hang on a minute. Let me cheer you up.
Oh, God, yes.
I
Matt,
have
got a surprise for us
just
all.
rushed back from Birmingham, where I was
Oh, my Lord.
at a certain event today.
Oh, my God.
Let me just get this straight for you folks at home.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the place was electric, absolutely buzzing, and
Actually brings out your eyes, to be fair.
my turquoise eyes.
If you're listening on the radio, by the way, Matt Goodwin has just put a baseball cap on, a turquoise baseball cap, saying "Make Britain a Great Again."
That's right. Well, this was the slogan today: "Make Britain Great Again." Now, look, just one thing about this Labour reshuffle, because I think this is important. This is the week in which both of the big parties now have fallen below 20%, according to some of the polls. So the combined vote share for what we might call the establishment is collapsing. Reform just peaked 35%. I don't think anything in this reshuffle today is going to change the fundamentals. The boats are going to keep coming. The economy is still going to be incredibly weak. We're not going to solve the housing crisis. Labour have shown they're not willing to do the really difficult stuff. Welfare reform didn't happen. They're not going to leave the ECHR. They're not going to detain and deport. They're not going to slash taxes across the board. If anything, taxes are going to go up. So, you know, putting some of these ministers in a different department is not going to fix any of that. I mean, just briefly, lastly, Yvette Cooper. Yvette Cooper will surely go down now in history as the most incompetent, unsuccessful Home Secretary in the history of British politics, surely. Failed on every level of her brief. Hotel use has gone up, small boat numbers have gone up, costs of the crisis have gone up, and they've just given her another major office in the UK state.
There is someone that disagrees with you.
Go on.
Do you want to take a guess who?
Tell me.
OK.
Cooper.
No, well, I mean, you know, to be fair to Yvette Cooper, I'm not even sure she would. Ed Miliband.
Well, shock horror.
He had to say, oh, no, sorry, this was about Angela Rayner. He had to say, Angela Rayner is one of the greatest political figures of our time.
Yeah, well, OK, this is a different figure. I think it's ridiculous. Angela Rayner, as Jeremy Clarkson rightly pointed out, I think today or yesterday, Angela Rayner has been supported at every level of her career by the British taxpayer. And the idea that a housing minister dodged tax on a house kind of summarises this government, like Rashanara Ali, the previous housing minister, who basically, some people might say, treated her own housing tenants rather appallingly, or like the Labour government that took endless freebies from Lord Ali while lecturing everybody about standards in public life.
You know what, this is the state we're in at the moment. All these people are blending into one. I mean, it has been a long day, to be fair, but they're all blending into one. Yvette Cooper, Angela Rayner.
But this is because
I just hear failure.
This because our political class are basically a uni party, and Matt's been up in Birmingham today. I've been in Westminster at the UK Gaza Tribunal hearing the evidence about UK complicity in the genocide in Gaza, and when the same things, Britain was still involved in the same way of the destruction of people there when James Cleverly was Foreign Secretary, when David Cameron was Foreign Secretary, when David Lammy was Foreign Secretary, and I'm sure the exact same policy will carry on when Yvette Cooper is Foreign Policy. We have a political class that basically thinks with one mind. They may not like each other, they may have different factions, they may wear different coloured ties, but on all the major issues they're in the same position fundamentally.
I'm assuming you think Jeremy Corbyn would be a different kettle of fish, though?
Well, of course, Jeremy Corbyn would be an entirely different kettle of fish.
Right, why?
Because he doesn't support any of these policies that these people are putting forward that have...
He can't even think of a name for his party.
The name of the party is not for him to decide. It's going to be decided by its members. But what is much more important is, for example, would Jeremy Corbyn have the rents of council tenants going up above inflation every year? No, he would not. Would he be arming Israel to carry on the destruction of Gaza? No, he would not. Would he be allowing the water companies to be ripping us off while pumping sewage into our water? No, he would not.
You don't know any of this.
What do you mean I don't know it? OK, I do know this. Firstly, I know him quite well.
OK.
And secondly, you can judge by his personal record of 40 years of public life standing by these same positions when it would be far easier to like all of the other people who pretended to be on the side of the people in the political class at different times, to as soon as they get close to something, to give in. We saw him for 5 years be Labour leader and not give in.
I think it's good news for Nigel Farage and Reform that Jeremy Corbyn has started this party, because what this party, whatever it's called, is going to do is it's going to eat into a big chunk of that Labour vote, and that fragmentation is going to help Nigel Farage without doubt. I actually agree with you on the uniparty point. For 30 years, this government has been led by a political class that is basically indistinguishable. I agree with you on that. And I think the next election will be an election for a radical break from that, a radical alternative. But your movement, if I can associate you with that movement, is going to run into enormous problems, as we've seen this week, because you've got an alliance of very woke liberal progressives in Oxford and Brighton with a very socially conservative bloc of Muslim voters. You've got some people over here saying, well, actually, we think homosexuality should be illegal, as the opinion polls show. And you've got some people over here saying a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man. Now, good luck at unifying that coalition.
Well, of course, do we have to go to a break, or can I respond to that? No,
you can respond quickly. I'm just looking at our new Foreign Secretary, a new Justice Secretary who does think that men can be women.
The task of any progressive movement is to unite people so that we can come together against the people that are either trying to divide us, like yourself, or the people like your boss's boss, who own the country and are picking everybody's pockets. Now, is that always simple? No, it is not. But the basic point against prejudice should be the same thing. The same people who are demonising Muslims, the same people who are demonising minorities, the same people who are demonising migrants, are the same people. And so you don't have to agree with, if you are a religious Christian, for example, you don't have to believe in everything that a Muslim believes in to think that what they practice should be respected. And in exactly the same way, a socially conservative Muslim does not have to agree with the gender views of a trans person for them to be united against the prejudice that is being spewed by much of our political and media class in favour, explicitly in support of the people that are at that conference that you were at, not the participants, the corporate sponsors that they're seeking money from so that they can sell us out, that party can sell us out in exactly the same way as the others have.
OK, we are going to come back to...
There's going to be no selling out here. There's going to be a radical alternative to the blob. That is what is going to happen.
No, there is not. It's going to be tax cuts for the super rich, the continued privatisation and picking our pockets. Cost of living will go up, and you'll do some performative raids on vulnerable people in order to make some media spectacle and distract us. We have seen the playbook.
I'm sorry, this is not a monologue, on this show. And the idea that somebody like Jeremy Corbyn is actually going to lower the cost of living crisis. If you guys were ever given the keys to number 10 and number 11, the end result in this country would be one of the biggest financial crises we've ever seen. Taxes, already at the highest since the late 1940s, would go even higher. Spending would go higher. Borrowing would go higher. And I tell you what, it won't be me who would end up bringing down that government or the voters out there. It'll be the markets. Because the markets will take one look at that in our current fiscal environment and they will say, no way, Jose.
And on that note, we will leave that one. There's loads more of similar stuff coming up. Indeed, Reform UK have had their conference today, and there's been defections, big promises re illegal immigration, and the mayors are breaking out into song. Stay with us for more of that one. We'll see you soon.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewbs, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. This is Dewbs & Co with me, Dawn Neeson, keeping me company until 7 o'clock. Matt Goodwin and James Schneider, and you, of course, the most important people in the show. Lots of you getting in touch already, and sorry, James, not much love in the room for you.
Unbelievable.
You might not be shocked to hear.
Unbelievable. I'm appalled.
MS says Corbyn is another communist. No thanks. I'll take my chances with reform.
Emma, think again. Come on.
Michelle says, not that Michelle. Really, does JC have the British people at heart? No, he does not. He thinks more about other countries than ours. And Christine says, James, you're in cloud cuckoo land. God, no Corbyn in my life.
Well, to Michelle, I would say if someone cares about people who are having bad things done to them, then if anything bad ever happens to you, he'll be on your side.
He'll be on everybody's side except the side of the British people. This is not a party election broadcast for the Corbyn party.
No, it's one for reform, apparently.
No, it's not.
As it is night after night after night, programme after programme after programme.
I'm afraid to say, James,
you can come back at 8 p.m. for Matt doing the same thing if you want.
You are clearly not watching my show.
No.
Or any other show, where we routinely have your friends from the radical left debating me regularly.
I've debated you. It
hasn't gone very well, has it? It hasn't gone very well.
Pretty well, actually.
Shall we move on to the
Reform?
The next
Should we talk about Reform UK? Any case, they've kicked off their party conference, labelling themselves as the party on the rise. Have a listen.
There'll come a point when many MPs, Labour MPs, think they've got a better chance of being re-elected under that ticket, under Corbyn, than they do under Sir Keir. I think there is every chance now of a general election happening in 2027, and we must be ready for that moment.
And Farage also made some big promises on illegal migration. Have a listen.
We'll detain and deport those who illegally break into our country, doing what nearly every normal country around the rest of the world does. You cannot come here illegally and stay. We will stop the boats within 2 weeks of winning government.
And later on in the afternoon, they were met with not one, but 3 protesters. Let's have a watch at how they were removed.
Set up the party and just ignore them. Just ignore them. Boring! Boring! Boring!
And meanwhile, that wasn't Nadine Dorries, by the way, but she has announced her defection to Reform UK, saying the Tory party is dead. Oh, my God. I'm actually going to come to you first on this one, Matt. I mean, you've just been to that conference today.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like up there? I mean, it was a kind of a rock star opening for a start.
Very high energy, very different from last year. A lot more professional, very slick. A lot more journalists, a lot more sort of people, I think, getting to the point of realising this is going to happen. A lot of detail on policy. The fringe events were very good. A lot of policy, think tank type discussion, which hasn't always been there in the past. I think, as you saw there in the comments from Nigel Farage, a sort of an awareness that this party has to become very professional very quickly. I actually agree with him that we are heading for an earlier than expected election.
Are you happy with that, 2027? 2 years away.
I think there's a lot of work that has to happen, but that work is happening. One of the challenges that Reform is going to face is that the blob, the establishment, the system, is going to go to war with the Reform government. It is going to, remember when the civil servants went on strike over the Rwanda plan? It's going to be that times 100. And you're going to see the establishment basically say, we're not going to work with this party, we're going to try and trip it up, we're going to try and dilute it. The Lords, right through to civil servants, right through to unelected bureaucrats in public bodies. So Reform have to go into government with a plan that will ensure this looks a lot more like Trump 2, getting things done, than Trump 1, being overwhelmed by the state.
James, 1 in 3 people in this country at the moment would vote for Reform. Well, how do you feel about living in a country run by Reform?
Well, I don't particularly like living in a country where we're ruled undemocratically in most ways by people that don't serve our interests, and that's the same.
We've currently got a government we all voted for.
Did you vote for them?
They were voted for democratically.
They were voted for by a third of people who voted.
But it was still a democratic vote.
And most of the positions that people want are not on the ballot paper. Now, what happens when Reform gets in? And I think it's very likely we're sitting here with, a future something minister in the Reform government, and it's more likely than not that Reform will win. The point is that they are not going to put money back in people's pockets. They're not going to take on the power of the rich and powerful, because they are going to be...
How can you say that? How can you say that? How many hedge funds bankroll the net zero agenda? How many hedge funds, how many billionaires, Larry Fink among others, are invested heavily in ESG? And you're saying Reform isn't going to take on vested interest. Reform is the only party saying they're going to scrap net zero and put that money back in the pocket of ordinary people and bring down the cost of living crisis. I understand this kind of traditional leftist view of the world. How can you say he's not on the side of working people? He's talking about nationalising key industries. He's talking about reindustrialising Northern England. People on the left used to understand the importance of this.
Of industrialisation and nationalisation, absolutely, which is why when we have our party, we'll be putting those plans forward properly and not in a kind of half-assed way, in a clever way, don't get me wrong.
Apologies for language.
Apologies for language, of course. But a politically smart way to flirt with the things that the country really needs. But look at who was at the conference in terms of the corporate.
Looking at them in a hat.
Yeah, wonderful.
I think I was the only one there on this panel, wasn't I? Ordinary people, frustrated people.
I'm talking about the same. I'm not talking about the delegates. I'm talking about the same companies that are at Reform conference, that 3 years ago were at Tory conference, that last year were at Labour conference, the same forces, the same corporate lobbyists who will therefore win the same policies.
James, let's, in this weird fantasy land that you live in, let's fast forward a year and you're at a party conference with Jeremy Corbyn and you're at a party conference with whatever this party's called. If that party was on 35% of the national vote, interesting thought, but let's say it was, even at your conference, whether you like it or not, there will be lobbyists, there will be consultants, there will be people saying, this is a party going into government, we should probably at least have a conversation with them. I'm afraid that's how the world of politics works. You're talking about this party as if we live in 1995, and you haven't understood the game has changed. Why is reform so popular in the Labour heartlands? Why is it so popular in Wales? Why is it so popular in all of those traditional Labour fiefdoms? Because it is actually speaking to people about reducing the cost of living, controlling the borders, ending mass immigration, leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. You haven't understood.
You're the current...
The plates of politics have moved.
You're the current recipient, and someone should be the recipient. You're the current recipient of people's hatred of what has happened for the last 50 years in our politics and in our economy. That's true. And occasionally, and in some ways, you speak to those things, but in the same way as Trump claimed that he was going to do lots of things for US American workers and instead does a huge tax cut for multimillionaires, the same pattern is going to play out.
I'm actually reassured by this debate and this discussion, because what I've realised, not just in the UK but across Europe and much of America, what I've realised about today's left is the only thing they have left now is you're a racist, you're a xenophobe, you're a hateful figure. And they haven't realised that
I was saying that you're captured by corporate elites.
The public have moved on from that. The public want strong borders. They want an end to mass uncontrolled immigration, which is making us poorer. I thought people on the left used to care about that. They want the reassertion of rights. Tony Benn and Clement Attlee. Clement Attlee, actually, here's an interesting one. Clement Attlee, one of your heroes, influential people, you might say. He was very specific when he looked at the European Convention on Human Rights, and he said, I don't want to sign up for anything that will erode national sovereignty in my country. What happened to the left?
Well, there's quite a lot there.
Make it very quick.
Make it very quick.
Because they used to look after their people. So what happened to... When did you start putting illegal migrants before the British people?
Nonsense. The only...
What would you do about it? What
hold on.
What would you do about illegal migrants then?
The policies for the party are to be decided by the membership of the party democratically. Let me come back and respond to this point.
The party hasn't got a name yet.
Yes, correct. The party doesn't have a name yet. There's yet to be founded. It's going to be founded by its members, over 700,000 of whom have signed up to be its supporters.
The key question.
The overwhelming majority of people want to see the taxes on the super rich and big business go up dramatically.
No, they
want. Yes, they do. Look at the polling. They want to see the profiteers driven out of the public sector. They want to see the nationalisation of our water, our rail, our mail, our energy. They want to see an increase in pay. All of these things.
You stop short of what they want to see with regards to immigration and borders and the ECHR.
ECHR is not something, you don't have this mass support for the ECHR.
But this is where you stop. And what I'm saying is you're stopping at what is the third issue for people. The ranking of issue goes immigration, economy and HS. Now, you're going to talk a lot about public services. I understand why, because you care about them.
I do, yeah.
This is let's say, a political rival giving some friendly advice. If you don't talk to people out there about how to fix the borders and end mass immigration, you're not going anywhere politically.
Right, OK, we have to leave it now. We have to go to a quick break, but we are coming back to a related subject. So, yes, you know what's going to happen. It's going to get even more fun, isn't it? Britain is on the brink of a civil war, apparently, due to radical Islam. You know what's coming with this one, don't you? Stay with us. We'll see you soon.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast. Hello. We may see a few showers over the Balearics during the course of Sunday. Meanwhile, it's looking fine in Italy. Lots of sunshine for Greece and most of Turkey too. Just a few showers inland. Most of the beaches staying dry and sunny. There will be a few showers, as I said, heading south across Mallorca, perhaps affecting Ibiza as well, and northern parts of Tunisia seeing a little bit of rain. And there's a weak weather front which may bring thick cloud and the odd spot of rain to the Algarve on Sunday. That clears away though by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Over the next 24 hours we'll see some clear spells overnight, but there will still be areas of patchy cloud and a few showers, particularly towards the west. However, it's not going to be anywhere near as wet as September has been so far, because we've got a brief period of higher pressure building from the south, extending its influence into much of England, Wales, eastern Scotland, allowing those clear spells overnight. Towards the west, we do still have some Atlantic influence, some showers and areas of cloud moving into Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, parts of Western England and Wales. But where we do have the clear spells elsewhere, a few mist patches will form overnight, and that's what we'll wake up to across the southeast of England, for example, first thing Saturday. Otherwise, once they disappear, plenty of sunshine for the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast. A bit more cloud there for the southwest into Wales, northern England as well. Areas of cloud for Scotland and Northern Ireland associated with some showers, but these will move through fairly quickly. They're not going to be particularly heavy. Northern Scotland faring well for sunny skies first thing Saturday. But it's going to turn increasingly breezy through the day across all parts, but particularly towards the west. Some of these western coasts will really notice the gusty winds by the end of the afternoon. The winds coming up from the south will bring warmer air, with temperatures up to the mid-20s, 21 to 24 Celsius in the southeast. I think more like 20 further west and north, because the breeze will temper things, and that breeze will be particularly strong on Sunday. The chance of gales around exposed western and northern coasts, and an area of rain moves in from the west, not quite reaching the east of Scotland or eastern England, but some heavy downpours towards the west, along with a gusty breeze. And then the area of low pressure responsible for that sticks around into the start of next week, bringing an unsettled period.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Drivers face disruptions on the M8 westbound at junction 24 due to a broken down vehicle. Please approach with caution. On the M1 northbound at the Leicester Forest Services exit, there's an obstruction. On the M25 near junction 25, a stalled vehicle has closed one lane. On the M42 northbound at junction 9, expect congestion after a medical emergency, but conditions are improving. And on the trains, taxis are replacing trains between Maidenhead and Bourne End on Great Western Railway. Greater Anglia services face disruptions between Cheshunt and Bishop Stortford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hello, welcome back. This is Dewbs & Co with me, Dawn Neeson, keeping me company until 7 o'clock. Matt Goodwin and James Schneider. Lots of you getting in touch because you're the important ones in this. OK, Tommy says, I don't care about the pound in my pocket if it's been spent on UK citizens and not immigrants. Lammy, who is our Justice Secretary and Deputy PM, says Lammy is a Palestinian apologist who will be worse than Yvette Cooper. Starmer can't read the room, and James, that's you, James, should go and live in China with his beloved commie tyrants. He doesn't have one redeeming patriotic bone in his body. Do keep them coming in. Try and keep them quiet, though. It's a Friday night. Come on, we're all friends here. Now, evidently, Britain is on the brink of civil war, and that's according to Donald Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon. He's warned that radical Islam is fueling unrest here at home and across Europe. James, is he right?
Absolutely not. This comes, and here I will say, Steve Bannon is a racist, and this...
What, because it's concerned about...
No, because of things that he has said and done, including in this particular piece. But let me come to where this comes from. In the United States, there is a long-standing, feverish dream on the extreme right. Matt knows about this; he's researched it, I'm sure, of the idea of a coming race war. And this doesn't come from concern for the people of the US. It comes from a particular fringe of the ultra-white supremacist, white nationalist right, which Steve Bannon flirts with at best. And it's not based in reality, it's not based in concern for the people in the US, and this is trying to transplant it onto here. He touches base, there's some hinge points, because a democratic socialist called Zohran Mamdani is the front runner to become the next mayor of New York. And this is, of course, horrific for Bannon, not on the basis of his socialism, but on the basis that he is a Muslim. And the idea that we are about to have a civil war in Britain is plainly nonsense.
Is it? Lots of people do feel that there is unrest, Matt.
Well,
a civil war.
Just provide some context for the comments, because it is also true, as people following the Westminster debate know, that Steve Bannon is not the only person to say that we have a social contract in this country that is rapidly collapsing. Professor David Betts at UCL, who is a very respected academic, who has worked on civil conflict and civil wars in developing states for many years, he's looked at that literature, the academic literature, and he said, look, these are the things that you tend to see in societies that morph into conflict. And he's looked at the UK today, and he said, basically, you have a couple of things that make him very concerned. Just briefly, there's two things. One is you have this very tense and deteriorating relationship between the elites and the masses, between politicians and voters, and we can all feel that. We don't really, a lot of people out there don't respect Westminster, so you've got that. But then on top of that, as we saw, for example, in the Hare Hills riots, or in Southend, or in, you could argue in the aftermath of Southport in certain neighbourhoods, you have organised inter-ethnic tension that is sort of mobilising on group lines. And I think I'm right in saying, and I wouldn't put words into his mouth, but I think I'm right in saying that David Betts is saying, look, the factors that you would expect to see in a society that ends up having a very in the UK.
I mean, Steve Bannon, James, does say the fact that thousands of people are hanging British flags across the nation. This should be a warning that people are angry about the way this country's going. What do you say to that?
It doesn't mean that there's going to be a civil war. I don't look at people hanging up flags and think, oh, my goodness, there's going to be a civil war. What's wrong with hanging up flags? I think that Steve Bannon, this is a feverish dream of his. He would like there to be some kind of civil strife here. Now, the first point that this Betts, who I'll read his work, I haven't come across him before. The first point in Matt's presentation of it about elites and the masses and the broken social contract, that we all know. I'm not saying...
I think everyone would agree with
yes,
that.
Right.
People would agree with that, yes.
We don't trust our political class.
Yes.
12% of people trust political parties.
People are not being listened to by any party.
Right. That's not the argument that Steve Bannon's saying. He's saying that because there are Muslims in this country, we are going to have a civil war. That is the argument in which he's making, which is plainly inflammatory, nonsense, factually wrong, and should be rejected rather than academic wash.
I just come back on one thing, though, that does concern me, and this is not to say I agree with everything that Steve Bannon has said, but what worries me about this country, just to be clear, is... In 2010, David Cameron came out and said multiculturalism has failed. Angela Merkel said the same in Germany. Nicolas Sarkozy said the same in France. Yet here we are in 2025, and we don't even talk about integration anymore. We don't even talk about the 40,000 Islamist extremists that the security services have said publicly are in the country. We don't talk about why are there more than 80 Sharia courts in the country. We don't talk about what's going on in the mosques. We don't talk... What we do talk about is Islamophobia and why we shouldn't talk in challenging ways about Islam. And what I'm worried about, and I think what people out there are worried about, is we've had this policy of mass uncontrolled immigration imposed on us. Nobody ever voted for it. Yet at the same time, nobody in Westminster is even saying, well, how are we going to integrate everybody? How are we going to integrate communities? Because your assumption, I think I'm right in saying, James, is, well, basically everybody, you know, gets along in this progressive kind of utopia, but that's not how human nature works. So where's the policy on integration in this country?
James, very, very quickly. Do you want to come back to that one?
It's not listening to people like Steve Bannon, and I'm afraid you often yourself, who are trying to divide people.
No, I'm trying to say these are really important issues we've got to talk about.
And you never propose anything which is going to remotely make people living together any easier.
Control migration, slow the pace of change, integrate children in local schools, take on radical Islamists who really do try and exploit and manipulate and divide people. I could go on, make people speak English. We've got 1 million people in the country that don't speak English. I could go on and on all day. We always suggest alternatives, but nobody in Westminster ever wants to listen. They just say, have a bit more mass immigration and don't blame us if everybody gets angry.
OK, unfortunately, that has to be the final answer, but do keep your messages coming in. gbnews.com/you're saying. Coming up, we are going to open the Dewberry Tavern, and boy, oh boy, it will be a very, very stiff drink after today. Don't go too far. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello, welcome to Dewbs & Co with me, Dawn Neeson. It's a Friday night. The bar is officially open, and God, do we need a drink today. Michelle is not here, so I'm doing her drinking for her. Matt Goodwin and James Schneider are helping me out.
I didn't realise it said Farage on it.
It says Farage on the reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need a Goodwin one. I need
and Matt, just in case you're wondering what the hell Matt is doing, that's not unusual, by the way. Lots of us do that on a daily basis. But Matt has hot-footed it down from Birmingham, the Reform Party conference, where he was working and modelling the baseball caps. OK, now, we've got the booze, we've got the bubbles. So shall we have a little kickback and remind ourselves how the Reform UK conference kicked off? Have a look at this.
I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. Staring at the ceiling. Waiting for my thoughts to switch off. Yes, I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. And all I can hear is the sound of that clock. The sound of that clock. I'm an insomniac.
So the really remarkable thing is, since that happened, Lady Gaga has been in touch and asked to purchase the song. Can you believe it?
What? That was Dame Andrew Jenkins, by the way, in case you wonder, and she wrote that song herself.
And now she's about to get a wonderful return from every time Lady Gaga performs, and it's played on Spotify.
Just to say, when Nigel Farage came back, he said he was going to make the People's Revolt fun.
And to be fair, James, we do need a bit of fun in politics.
I agree. I think there should be more singing.
Which fun are you going to
I think there should be more. I think there should be more singing. I think there should be more dancing. There should be more music. There should be more fun.
Are you going to wear a sparkly jumpsuit? Oh, you've got to think about it. Think about it.
Probably not a sparkly jumpsuit, but, you know, maybe I could be convinced. Yeah, no, I think there definitely should be more fun, and maybe the only non-critical thing I will say about Reform and how they have realised that you shouldn't be quite so stuffy and establishment and boring in what you're doing.
Pass baseball cap.
No, I'm not doing it.
Hey, come on,
I'm absolutely not doing it.
Come on.
Come on, let's do it.
Go with your eyes. Go on.
I'm sure it will go with my eyes, but the idea of wearing a cap that says Farage on it...
You don't have any problem with union flags,
No, I don't have any problem with the union flag whatsoever. Although I'm not going to say, like Yvette Cooper, I've got 18 different types of buntings, all with the different flags I really like around my house, like a normal person, like normal people have.
Can I have the pat back?
Yes,
because I did see...
Watch the glass.
I did watch the Prosecco. I did see somebody in New York as an experiment. They walked through New York City with a MAGA hat and they filmed it. So I'm thinking, after this, I've got to run over to Westminster to do State of the Nation at 8 p.m. on this channel. I might wear this through London, from Paddington to Westminster, and see the reaction. See how people react to Make Britain Great Again.
Actually, joking aside, that's a good point. What do you think reaction? What reaction do you think he'd get? Make Britain great again?
Yeah.
Well, it's a reform cap that's a Trumpy thing. Most people don't like Trumpy very much between here and Westminster. Most people not that fond of Nigel Farage, so that's probably the response you'll get.
Well, one in three people in this country would vote for him. That's a lot of people.
It is as you noted earlier, Dawn. It's a nice colour and it makes Matt's eyes stand out very nicely. So maybe you'll be getting looks, and you'll think you'll be getting looks because people love your hat, but really they're going, well, his eyes look very nice.
I'm calling time. Cheers, everybody. Have a lovely Friday, a lovely weekend.
To find something very nice to say.
Thank you to a brilliant panel. This is GB News tonight, and don't miss. It's Christopher Hope coming up with GB News tonight, and there's loads to discuss. See you soon. Have a good weekend, folks.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Over the next 24 hours we'll see some clear spells overnight, but there will still be areas of patchy cloud and a few showers, particularly towards the west. However, it's not going to be anywhere near as wet as September has been so far, because we've got a brief period of higher pressure building from the south, extending its influence into much of England, Wales, eastern Scotland, allowing those clear spells overnight. Towards the west, we do still have some Atlantic influence, some showers and areas of cloud moving into Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, parts of Western England and Wales, but where we do have the clear spells elsewhere, a few mist patches will form overnight, and that's what we'll wake up to across the southeast of England, for example, first thing Saturday. Otherwise, once they disappear, plenty of sunshine for the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast. A bit more cloud there for the southwest into Wales, northern England as well. Areas of cloud for Scotland and Northern Ireland associated with some showers, but these will move through fairly quickly. They're not going to be particularly heavy. Northern Scotland faring well for sunny skies first thing Saturday, but it's going to turn increasingly breezy through the day across all parts, but particularly towards the west. Some of these western coasts will really notice the gusty winds by the end of the afternoon. The winds coming up from the south will bring warmer air, with temperatures up to the mid-20s, 21 to 24 Celsius in the southeast. I think more like 20 further west and north, because the breeze will temper things, and that breeze will be particularly strong on Sunday. The chance of gales around exposed western and northern coasts, and an area of rain moves in from the west, not quite reaching the east of Scotland or eastern England, but some heavy downpours towards the west, along with a gusty breeze. And then the area of low pressure responsible for that sticks around into the start of next week, bringing an unsettled period.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M8 faces restrictions westbound at junction 24 due to a broken down vehicle. Drivers should plan for delays. The M1 northbound between junction 21 and 21A near Leicester Forest Services has an obstruction. The A1 northbound between the A638 and the junction with the A639 is congested, causing minor delays. On the A34 southbound, one lane is closed due to a broken down vehicle, causing about 10-minute delays. And on the trains, London North Western Railway is reducing services between Bletchley and Bedford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me.